Brought to you by the Asombro Institute for Science Education, with support from the USDA Southwest Climate Hub.
Traditional Angus cattle were bred in Scotland. Raramuri Criollo cattle were brought to the New World from Spain in the late 1400s and have been adapting to life in the deserts of North America for hundreds of years. Climate change models predict a hotter and drier climate in the Southwest with more drought, which means there will be fewer resources for grazing cattle. In this Get Out and Graze activity, students will model the grazing behavior of both cow types under abundant and then limited resources, and discuss the advantages and disadvantages of traditional and heritage livestock types under current and future climate conditions. During the game, you'll gather data about both cattle types and climate scenarios, then analyze the data as a class. Before class, prepare 5 close-site grazing bags and 5 far-site bags by taping the labels to the bags. A strip of packing tape inside the bottom of the bag will keep pennies from getting stuck. Set the close bags at the front of the room or game area, and the far bags at the back. Print the location map, cut along the lines, and place one section next to each grazing site so they follow the numbering of the sample map. Start class by introducing students to Angus and Criollo cattle using the PowerPoint and compare and contrast handout. The next part of the video explains the game. If you wish, you can show the rest of the video to students. In this game, you'll represent how different types of cows graze in a desert rangeland. In Scenario 1, 5 students will be Angus cows, and 5 students will be Criollo cows. 4 students will be food distributors, and 2 will be data collectors. 2 students will be location mappers. To start, the food distributors should divide 50 food resources, represented by pennies, among the close sites, and 50 among the far sites. There can be a different number of food resources in each bag. The rest of the class should close their eyes or look away while the food distributors work. Cows will visit one site during each round of the game. Angus cattle are reliant on water, and therefore can only travel among the close grazing sites. Criollo cattle are adapted to desert environments and can travel farther from water to find food. A cow at one of the close sites can collect up to 3 food resources per round. There's a cost of time and energy for a cow to move to far sites, so cows at far sites can get a maximum of 2 food resources per round. When you visit a site, reach into the bag without looking and collect the correct number of food resources if there's enough food at the site. Some may be empty. Eat your food by putting them in your rumen. A rumen is a part of a cow's stomach where it begins to digest its food. If there are 2 or more cows at a grazing site, they must take turns getting food resources. If there are no more food resources at a grazing site, the cow must wait until it's time to switch. After a cow has collected food, they mark a dot on a paper next to that site. Angus cows use a blue marker, and Criollo use a green marker. Cows must move to a different grazing site each round, but they may return once they've left it for at least 1 round. At the end of 6 rounds, you'll count how many food resources you've collected. Angus cows are trying to collect 10 food resources by the end of the 6-round trial, and Criollo are trying to collect 7. If they don't, the rancher will need to supplement their diet with hay or other foods, which costs more money. Angus cows will go first. Remember that Angus are only able to travel among close sites and can collect a maximum of 3 resources per round. Choose a starting site, open the bag, collect resources without looking, and fold the bag back up. When your teacher says it's time for the next round, move to another site. After 6 rounds, The data collectors will record the final numbers of food resources each cow collected on the board. The food distributors must now redistribute the 50 food resources among the close grazing sites. Once the food has been replaced, the criollo will graze for 6 rounds. Remember that criollo can go to any site, but can only collect 2 food resources at the far sites. After 6 rounds, the data collectors will record the final numbers of food resources each criollo cow collected on the board. Before you get started, fill out the predictions box at the top of page 1 of your worksheet. Scenario 2 takes place under the conditions of climate change. Climate change is expected to lead to hotter and drier conditions and more drought in the Southwest, meaning plants likely won't grow as well and food resources will be limited. The food distributors will place 25 pennies in the close site bags and 25 in the far site bags. Conduct 6 rounds of the Angus trial and 6 rounds of the criollo trial using the same rules as Scenario 1. Make sure both data tables are filled in after both scenarios are complete. The location mappers will collect the strip of paper from each grazing site and organize them to look like this location map. Then you'll analyze your data as a class to figure out what this means about Angus versus criollo cattle.
A detailed teacher's guide and accompanying materials for this and other climate change lessons can be found online at asombro.org/climate. Check regularly for updates, new lessons, and information about teacher workshops.